Hey everyone, it's Evangeline right here at eTrailer. Today we're taking a look at how the RockyMounts GigaWatt bike rack fits on our 2015 Toyota Highlander. The GigaWatt is usually a rack that I would recommend to people that are looking for something for their electric bikes, but they just want something that's versatile, gets the job done, plus they may have fenders, so they need something that's compatible with that. This is going to be a very good option, especially for your Highlander, because it will still give you access to your vehicle, gives you good ground clearance, and even though it does sit a bit high up, it does include its own ramp, and it's not sold separately, so that way even your heftier electric bikes are still easy to load. Now, when I talked about how you still have access to your vehicle, that's because this rack tilts away with the bikes loaded. To do so, you do have this lever here, which you pull, and then you drop down to a tilt. Once the rack is tilted away, you're then able to open up your hatch door. And this is going to be helpful if, let's say, you have your helmet stored in there, your waters are there. There's so much clearance between the door and our handlebars that now I'm able to get in here. If you're the type of person that likes to switch out their shoes before and after their ride, this is going to be a great way to do so without having to figure out where you're going to put your bikes in the meantime. And even if you do have a mountain bike with longer handlebars, you're still going to have clearance with this setup. Now, bringing this back up, all you need to do is lift up on the rack and it snaps into place, and now you are ready to drive. So let's talk about the types of bikes you can carry with this rack. This has an 80-pound weight capacity per bike, which is pretty impressive since that's going to be a lot of weight on your rack. And the way this holds down even those heftier bikes is you do have multiple touch points here. You have a wheel hoop that really supports that front wheel, but you also have this bottom strap just to keep everything in place. Up top, you do have the option of using the fender strap. We're not going to use it just yet, but if you do have fenders, you just bring this down and then you loop this strap around the rim to give you some extra security. And then in the back, you have your rear wheel strap. Now this can be adjusted back and forth for different wheelbases. In fact, the maximum wheelbase is going to be up to 55 inches, which is very impressive, especially for those extra large frames. Now what we're going to do is I'm just going to grab the ramp here. Unfortunately, this is not attached to the rack, so you're going to have to make sure that you put this back into your vehicle after you're done using it. But this ramp attaches to the back of the tray. And then now, all I need to do is hold on to my bike with one hand, press this button with the other, lift up, push out, and now I can ramp the bike down. That makes things a lot easier when you do have those heavier electric bikes. So I definitely appreciate this addition to the rack, especially since it's an item that's included and you don't have to purchase it separately. Now, even if you do have, let's say, fat tire bikes, this will still work with that because it can work with tires of up to 4.5 inches. And what helps with that is that you have a tray style. So once you get your bike up and into place, then you just roll your bike into that front wheel hoop. And because the length of the tray, you do have a good amount of offset for those different bikes. So plenty of space between the bikes, plenty of length. That gives you a lot of clearance. Now this does take up a good amount of room behind your vehicle though. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure for the length of the rack added to the back of our Highlander. What I like to do is I like to measure from the bumper to the end of the rack, and that is going to be about 37 inches. So if you have a small garage or need to park into a tight spot, that's a measurement to think about. The next is going to be ground clearance. And you can see here with our hitch, there's a good amount of height here off the ground for the bike rack. In fact, this sits about 20.5 inches off the ground. So if I've got speed bumps or potholes, things like that, I'm not too concerned about bottoming out. What I would be more concerned about is lifting the bike up and onto the rack, since your bikes will sit about 24 inches off the ground in this configuration. But since you have an included ramp, then I'm not too concerned about that either. What you can also do with this rack is fold it up to be more compact and neat. So what I'm gonna do is pull this lever here, bring this up over. If you are concerned about that hook, there's a good amount of tension here, but if you are concerned about it, definitely utilize the strap on either the wheel or that hook to strap it down to the rack. But this is gonna be the compact position where when you measure from the bumper to the end of the rack, that is now 18 inches. So big difference compared to when it was folded down. I always recommend that whenever you are driving around and you don't have your bikes on, please fold your rack up because not everyone will see it in a down position. But this is gonna be a much safer spot for it for both you and the cars driving behind you. In fact, this right here is what it would look like for a car behind you. You're gonna have full visibility of your window, your tail lights, but the good surprise here is on the Highlander, your backup camera sits above the license plate, which is gonna be in this spot. So you will have minimized visibility through your rear camera, but a lot where you can still see people or cars if they are behind you. And with that being said, you are going to need a 2-inch hitch receiver in order to use this bike rack. If you don't yet have one, because this vehicle actually came here to eTrailer to get this hitch installed, you can get a custom hitch found on our website for your car. And this is gonna fit in there. You tighten that down. You have locks and cable locks included for security. So this is gonna be a very versatile bike rack for bikes of different shapes and sizes and weights. It is gonna be a little bit on the pricier side simply because of all the features it comes loaded with and that the ramp is included. If you're looking for a slightly more affordable option, check out the Inno Tire Hold HD. That one's a solid bike rack, has a dual wheel mount system, works with different types of bikes, and the same weight capacity. The downside to that rack is it doesn't have a ramp included. You would have to purchase one separately if you really want one, versus this one, which has everything included and is a solid rack for different situations. So today what we saw was the RockyMounts GigaWatt electric bike rack, and you saw it on the 2015 Toyota Highlander.